What's his question? What's the question, Theo? Ask him.
I was picking John's brain about U.S. history and trying to relate it to this draft class. It was a totally out there question.
Well, I would say this: the draft class is a Budweiser. There ain't no microbrews in this class.
That's awesome.
Bud heavy or Bud next?
Bud next.
Bud next. Pass. Next class, please.
Yeah, John and I were just talking how like the IPAs now bringing back the microbreweries, and the cans have become kind of like the art that music left behind. You know, with when you used to go into the music stores and you used to pick an album just based on the art. You had no idea what the music sounded like. You're like, oh, this looks cool.
Yeah, that's beer cans now. At least of the microbrews.
All right.
I was told we'd be talking about Jay Sean Corbin on the pod. So that's why I dropped that.
So is Dan is joining us, right? Or
Dan will just be a little late.
Fast.
Okay, no problem. All right, you guys want to get it going?
Ready to go, brothers.
I'm fired up.
Let's boogie it up.
Go district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offers the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's a... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasyland? We are back in the district. No, we're not doing a post Super Bowl review. I just can't deal with those anymore. Guys, we're bringing it hard post Super Bowl. We're going obviously into draft season. We're approaching, we're starting to talk heavy rookies, rookie draft ahead, NFL draft ahead. So what do we do, guys? What do we do in the district? We bring in the ballers, the big boys, the Debbie boys. We bring in the gridiron scholar back into the district. John Laub, welcome back, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I look forward to this. I believe it's the fourth year I'm with you guys on this show. My memory is you get older in your 50s, you kind of lose track. But I do believe it's the fourth year. I know it's the second year with the cool new logo. Because when I saw your logo last year, I remember I bought a T-shirt.
Nice.
Because I love the new GOAT logo. But I'm really fired up because you got me. I basically just finished my entire process. Obviously, things at the combine could, move a few players here and there. But I really feel like I've now gone into detail about 50, maybe 55 players. I'll go to probably 80, 75 to 80 when I'm all said and done. But, I feel like now I know this draft class. I try to be patient. I don't move my process faster. I'm not trying to be the first. I'm not trying to be the one who nailed this player first. What I'm trying to do is go through a methodical analysis so that I can give better information. So now I feel like you guys invited me on, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I'm here, and I literally just feel like I know this class now.
Perfect timing. It's brewed at the perfect temperature right now. We're getting all the goodness from John. John works with Matt Hicks, who we had on a couple shows ago. Make sure you guys go check that out, guys. We've been dropping serious shows, guys. We had who last week? We had Matt Kelly rolling into the Super Bowl. We had Davis Maddock a couple days before him, and squeezed in between the godfather of Dynasty, Mr. Ryan McDowell. So guys, go check those shows back. These shows will be valid for a while because we're looking forward with these guys. We're helping you guys plan moving into these events this offseason, the rookie drafts, the NFL drafts. We want to prepare you guys ahead of your league mates. Hey, I tweeted out today, you guys have been awesome to us, and we appreciate that. 100,000 downloads. We just got notified from Podbean. So we appreciate you guys, the support. That's not even including all the love that you guys are giving on here on YouTube. So if you're on podcast format, you're listening right now, you haven't signed up to the YouTube channel, go check out Goat District. We're on, every show is on visually. We're throwing on draft boards on the screen, and we'll be doing a lot of live drafts this offseason. Guys, let's get into the goodness. Like John said, he's ready for us tonight. He's got these rookies ready to go. Before we get to the goodness, John, just remind people one more time where they can find your goodness, all the goodness you're doing with Matt, and anything else that you want to share that can help our fans this time of year.
Thanks, gentlemen. For the third year, I'm doing the NFL Draft Seminar Series with as you mentioned, my teammate Matt Hicks. And it's on the Rookie Big Board channel at YouTube, or you can go to the NFL Draft Bible, part of the Sports Illustrated network. You can see our shows all the time there. We do 4 every week for about 11 weeks. So we already have 12 players under the microscope. Each show is about 10 minutes long. Go check them out. And my written profiles appear on footballdiehards.com. And my friends, I can't believe this. I'm getting real old. This is my 9th year publishing the written profiles on footballdiehards.com. I couldn't believe this. My first quarterback class was the immortal Blake Bortles. So it was funny. Just for about 6 weeks ago, I reread that first draft class, their breakdown. And guess who's the most successful out of that class? Can you guys, this is a good question, Steve, you know this. Who was the most successful at quarterback in the Drake Bortles class?
Cousins? No.
Right vowel. Carr, right consonant. Derek Carr. It was Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater, Drake Bortles, and Derek Carr. So Garoppolo's in there. I consider Carr to have a better career than Garoppolo. Someone might make the argument, I guess. I do think Carr's better than Garoppolo. He hasn't been, obviously, the Raiders aren't as good of a franchise as the 49ers. But think about that. That class was that long ago, and it was just interesting in my book.
John, you're making me feel young here. No, I'm kidding.
Derek Carr
guys,
over Jimmy.
Make sure you check. Sorry, Theo, go ahead.
I said Derek Carr over Jimmy Garoppolo all day.
Yeah, I think he's better too.
The Jimmy G hate it never ends. It never ends. The man has been to a Super Bowl. He's been out with porn stars. He's done it all, man. He's got the best 5 o'clock shadow on the planet. I mean, come on.
Hey, he's got a great life. I just think Carr's had a better career.
So guys,
take his life and his money.
Sorry, John. I want to make sure that people check out those videos you do with Matt, because those are 10 minutes per player. You're not going to get to know these rookies any better than joining Matt and John on those videos. Like he said, they're 10 minutes. They're easy watches on YouTube. Make sure you go watch those, and make sure you follow John at Gridiron Skull, SCHOL 91. Guys, let's get into the goodness. I know we talked a bit. You started talking beers. You compared this 22 class to the big boys, that wall in the beer store that not too many people visit anymore. Why don't you give us your general thoughts, your macro view of this rookie class as we jump into this?
There are some players I like, and there is value here, but you have to be very astute, and you really have to do your homework or find someone you trust who analyzes these players. But part of me is worried. If you remember, my first draft class at wide receiver was the classic Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham, Brandon Cooks. Just one of the greatest wide receiver classes in 2014 ever. And then the next year, oh my God, I was looking Kevin White, Devonta Parker, Brashad Perryman, Philip Dorsett, Devin Smith, Dorial Green Beckham. Now, on top of it, by far, if you look at this, the best player was Amari Cooper. He was number one, and he's actually had the best career out of his class. No one's even close. And the player who is the value in this class, which ironically, I had him at number 9, Tyler Lockett, coming out of Kansas State that year. He was the hidden gem in that wide receiver class when you go down. The reason I say that, I'm a little scared after how good the last 2 years, really, we've had wide receivers. While I love 4 of them, I love them. Don't get me wrong. What if we have one of those years, right? Where it almost seems like the fantasy football gods want to laugh at us and say, oh, you think that you got good wide receivers? Well, let me give you some Kevin Whites. Let me throw some Rashad Perrymans at you, and let me see what you got. So, at the running back position, there's no Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott. Those are the 3 best prospects. And whenever I talk to someone, a prospect is different than the results. You can like a prospect, goes to a bad organization, gets injured, has nothing to do with your thoughts of the process of analyzing the prospect. Taylor, Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, 3 best that I've looked at in the last 9 years. No one's even that. I don't even think there's running back as good as Najee Harris in this group. The quarterback class. No.
Whoa! Let's just take a step back there. What might we see from this running back class? Give us a name?
I think there's 2 studs, and I have Breece Hall over Isaiah Spiller. A lot of people like Spiller. I think looking at the body of work and the film work and my production model, I like Breece Hall also. But I will say this: if I had 10 picks in first or second, say both were on the board, I'd probably take Breece Hall 6 times, Isaiah Spiller 4 times. It is very close. It reminds me of Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon. When those 2 came out, most people were on Gurley. I was team Gordon. And it's funny because I look back and I was thinking to myself, Gurley had the flash for about 2 years where he was the best back.
Yeah.
But if you really look at the career, and if you're looking at top 12 finishes, Gordon's had the better career. I mean, Gordon last year still, I think he was I had him on a dynasty team. I'm putting that relic out there. He was great as a number 2 back. I mean, we all want Javonte Williams, but you know what? Melvin Gordon scoring his 8 to 11 touchdowns.
Plus, I'm pretty sure he cost you less than Gurley too. Most of the time through that.
Yes. So I mean, I think Breece Hall and Isaiah Spiller. Now, the one thing that I like right now, both of them are healthy. My concern with Gurley, and I'm no doctor, and I will say my weakest part is the long-term injury factor. Gurley came in with bad knees, and that was why I had him below Gordon. But people didn't like Gordon because they said too many touches. He had too many carries at Wisconsin. You know, his body's physically beat up. Look at the irony now. Gordon's still playing and still could carry the ball 200 times a year if you need him to.
Where do you start breaking your tiers up in round 1? You mentioned the 2 top backs. You mentioned you liked 4 wide receivers. Is there a big tier drop after those 6 for you?
It's the top 6. If I'm moving up, I've got to move up in the top 6. But I'll tell you this, I'm probably going to wait and try to move up in the draft. Because if I move up to 3 and I need a running back, there's a good chance I might not get him. Now, I might get one of them to fall because someone could love Burks. So you're taking a huge risk. It's Spiller and Hall, and then the big 4. Now, these are my big 4. So everyone might have them different. Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, Jameis Williams, and Drake London. Now, Williams and London could switch on medicals at the combine. I am a little bit concerned about Williams' ACL, but we'll say this. ACL surgery is much better. I'm old. I remember ACL was a 2-year, like you would barely come back after 1 year. You were never as good as you were right away. And then 2 years later, we've seen players come back now, 6 to 8 months? So as long as we get positive reports on Jameis Williams, and even if we don't have access to the reports, the NFL will tell us what the medicals say. If Jameis Williams goes in the first half of the first round, or I would even say in the first round, the medical reports are good. I mean, if he drops to the second, then I would be concerned about the medicals. But right now I have Williams as my number 3 wide receiver. Nice. But him and London could switch. I do like London a lot, but I think Williams has a unique skill set of that deep threat home run hitter, which is still, to me, the hardest thing to find on a regular basis. That's why these speed guys always get drafted. And I don't like them per se, like Henry Ruggs. I never draft Henry Ruggs, but they get drafted because teams covet that speed so desperately.
Are you in the camp where after that top tier, if you're holding the 107, are you moving that for a 2023 first?
He was asking for a friend, by the way.
No, I think it's
107.
I think it's kind of like Andrew and I talked about this. Andrew and I have the 5th pick in a super flex, so that's a different question.
Yeah.
But it seems to be the hive mind in Dynasty right now is trade your 2022 picks for 2023 first, any chance you get. It's sort of like anytime you can move a back end of the 2022 first for a 2023 first, people act like that's the greatest trade ever made. I've done it a few times. But is that the way you're handling these 2022 picks? Is there a certain cutoff where you're moving them blindly for a 2023 one?
So I'll say this, Theo. All things equal, right? We don't know if you've had 3 straight losing seasons. We don't know how desperate. So all things equal, I would rather have a first-round pick next year after the top 6. Because when I look at my Devy rankings and I see the players, especially the running backs, now knock on wood, I'm an old man. A lot of backs can get knee hurts. A lot of things could happen in a year at the running back position. However, the wide receivers are deep again next year, and the running back position is much deeper. Now, I'll say this, though. In a super flex, Theo, I don't think there's a quarterback again. So people are automatically making assumptions that next year's quarterback class is better. Some of the top players we thought were going to be good, like Spencer Rattler, there's no way I'm taking him next year in the super flex. Are you out of your mind? DJ at Clemson, he just had one of the worst seasons by a top recruit ever.
Good.
I mean, it is basically Bryce Young or you're it. And I don't think Bryce Young is Andrew Luck or Trevor Lawrence yet. Now, Bryce Young could go out if he wins back-to-back Heismans. I might be on the show telling you I was wrong with Bryce Young. But right now, he's not Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. He's not, Andrew Luck as far as a prospect. Do I like Bryce Young? Of course I do. He's the Heisman winner from Alabama. Do I think he's a first-round pick? Absolutely. But that's it. Tell me another quarterback you like in Debbie. So if you're in Superflex, now, we could get a Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray to come out of nowhere and rise. That happens at the quarterback position. But right now, that's a very weak quarterback class, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, the overhyped sleeper. What's up, Dan?
Better than late or something like that.
Better late than forever, something like that. I don't know.
Yes. How you doing, Dan?
My friend Dan, how are you?
Good.
Or do we just refer to you as overhyped sleeper? Is that the?
Yes, that apparently I overslept earlier or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm here now. So, so John, what I'm hearing is basically, are you high on any of the quarterbacks in this class? I gather you're not from the way you're talking about next class. I'll
say this. I think the value now is coming forward in Superflex at the quarterback position. When I can get a potential starting quarterback in the NFL and I can get him at pick number 11, let's say if you're pick number 11 in a dynasty league, you have a good team. And let's say you have Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. That's a reasonable. You could very easily have those two quarterbacks. I would take a quarterback right now. That's where the value is. You're giving me a starter. Tell me right now, let me ask you this question. Sam Howell goes to Tampa Bay. You're not interested in Sam Howell with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yep.
you know, I mean, so landing spot is going to be very fascinating. I mean, I think, you know, we look at the tea leaves. Who doesn't want someone in Pittsburgh who can throw the ball 10 yards down the field? When was the last time we actually saw Ben Roethlisberger throw a real good ball 10 yards down the field to one of those wide receivers? I mean, there are some tempting landing spots for quarterbacks. So, again, is there a top tier like last year? No. But if you give me some nice landing spots for some of these young men, I think there can be production. And I'm never against the Kirk Cousins. Like, I guess I just like my secret. I love having Kirk Cousins on my dynasty teams. I don't understand why no one likes him.
John, I three-peated Matt Hicks's Premier League Tier 1 with Cousins as my quarterback in It's a Superflex and just crushed it.
Dude,
He was the best quarterback.
Yeah. I had Kirk Cousins. I had I think I had 14 teams last year. I had Kirk Cousins in like 8 of them, and I won 4 championships. Kirk Cousins is fine. In the Superflex, he's ridiculously good. So I have yes, we all want Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, but they don't come around very often. But if I can get a quarterback who throws 30 touchdowns and for over 4,500 yards, sign me up. So I think it's ironic right now because the dynasty community doesn't like the quarterbacks. We've actually got sneaky value in the back round or early second round because I'll take those quarterbacks. Look, if Malik Willis ever makes it to you at 110, and let me ask, here's a great question. Do you want Sam Howell in Tampa Bay or Malik Willis in Carolina? Who are you going
That depends if Godwin signs with Carolina.
Okay, let's assume
I want
signs.
Malik. I want Malik Willis.
So you're all about the running and I get it. That's
Absolutely.
where the whole
Oh, look at that. That's a nice freeze. That's a pretty
run.
Screenshot.
Yeah, we should have got a screenshot. John, you just had the best freeze. You were like you're in midair.
Perfect. So,
And
so let me ask you
John,
this. Let's go back to
sorry,
let's go back to Cousins for a second.
Yeah.
Let's say you've got a mid-round first, and are you going to deal that mid-round first for Cousins if you have a need at quarterback, or are you going to grab one of these young guys?
Oh, no, if I have a need a quarterback, I would probably take Cousins if I know he remains in Minnesota.
Okay.
He's got to be throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah.
and I like this he's got the Rams coordinator, right?
Yep.
And I think there's a sneaky chance Minnesota drafts one of these wide receivers because he's coming from Los Angeles and they unlock that offense when Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are on the field and then Odell Beckham really started to play well late in the season. I think he knows for that offense, can you really rely on Adam Thielen at this age? He's a perfect second veteran, possibly third receiver. But if you bring in one of these explosive young guys in Kevin Coleman's offense, ooh, we got something cooking here, baby. So I got to know where Cousins is.
You mentioned that the top 4 receivers, and I know that it's Treylon Burks, London, Wilson. I'm really excited about those guys. Williams with the injury, but he's still a lock to go in the at least the first round for all rookie drafts.
So.
To put some context to this wide receiver class, there's no Jamar Chase, but could you compare those 4 to maybe last year's rookie class where we had, the Elijah Moores, the Devonta Smiths, the Jalen Waddles, that next tier of wide receiver? Would like a Treylon Burks be number 2 if you combine both classes, or how are you looking at it?
I would probably have Treylon Burks in my top 3. I don't know if he's number 2, but let me give you somewhat of the 8 years because I've been thinking about these, and these I'm not great at comps, so I like to put them in a bucket. Treylon Burks is DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton wrapped up into one. That's what he is. I love him there. Then someone got a screenshot.
Shout out to Wheeler. Got a nice well, we might have to use that as the cover, the thumbnail.
It has to be. It has to be.
Thank you, Wheeler.
Thank you, Wheeler. Shout out to Wheeler.
Yeah, shout out to Wheeler. Garrett Wilson is Jerry Jeudy and Stephon Diggs. He's the best route runner in this class. Dude, I know one of the questions, I don't want to go too much. I'll talk about Wilson later and my love affair. I've fallen in love with him. Jameson Williams, he's better than Henry Ruggs by far. I was very low on Ruggs. I had Ruggs at number 5 or 6 coming out. I had T. Higgins over Ruggs. I thought Ruggs was a one-trick pony. Williams is much, much better than Henry Ruggs. He's more explosive than Jerry Jeudy at the second level of the defense, attacking them vertically. Now, Drake London is kind of the strange. I would probably put him at like number 7 last year because there is questions about separation. But when I look at Drake London, I'm asking, how does he win? And I think he's got a little bit of Juju Smith-Schuster in him. But what you have to do is you need a quarterback, my friend, who pulls the trigger. Derek Carr will not throw it to Drake London because Derek Carr's got to see his wide receiver open. Oh, remember Plaxico Burress? He's he's Plaxico and Juju.
Okay.
And what you need, the one thing that no one gives Eli Manning enough credit for, he's anticipatory thrower, and Eli let his receivers make plays. You can criticize Eli for a lot, but one thing that he did, he let his receivers make plays. The one thing I can't stand we were joking about Derek Carr. We talked about him earlier. But when you see Derek Carr in the pocket, he's just holding. You're like, dude, let the goddamn ball rip, man. Just get it out of your hands. You got thoroughbreds out there. Let him make a play. The problem with Carr, I think, he has to see the man open. Well, if that's what you have with Drake London, that's a problem. Because Drake London is not going to get a lot of open. Drake London is a guy who has half a yard of separation. You know what you do, Theo? You let it rip. You tell Jake London you're 6'5", 210. Catch the goddamn ball because that's what you get paid to do. And he'll do it. But you got to have the quarterback who throws it. You know what I mean? Like Josh Allen would be incredible with Jake London because Josh Allen would just put the ball in a spot with those long arms and those huge hands, and he would just let Drake London make a play. And so I'm very interested where he lands. And Drake London, you have to be a little bit anticipatory. You got to say to yourself, he's going to be where he has to be. And I have to trust him to get there. That's one of the great aspects of Eli Manning. Now, paradoxically, when the receiver read the defense wrong, Eli looked like he was throwing a lot of bad interceptions because he trusted his guy to get there, and the defender, did something, and the receiver does the opposite of what Eli thought, and he throws a bad interception. But Eli trusted his receivers. He just got in trouble for it a lot. But when he had Odell, what did Eli do? Fed the beast, man.
Two points and then a question for you, John. One, Theo, I realize now your text messages had ulterior motives. I think you were gaslighting me a little bit for 105. Garrett Wilson. So I'm gonna just to be difficult. I'm gonna have a Drake London question here. I don't take well to gaslighting, especially when I realize it 10 hours after the fact.
There will be no gaslighting on tonight's show.
All right, I said I had 2 prepared jokes. I'll let you guys figure out whether the first one's already gone and wasn't funny, or I got a second one in the whole story.
It was funny. It was funny.
No. Never mind. Okay, second point. What I love about the Ringer, to give them credit, and this is like an old school Bill Simmons thing, is he'd always, like NBA players, he'd compare purposely like white guys to black guys to white guys. He'd have like crazy like comparisons. So I was looking at their draft guide the other day, and I think they did a good job of doing Drake London as Dennis Rodman. I love that. So anyways, I love these like cross sport comparisons. So to stand at Drake London, here's my question. I was texting Theo when he was trying to gaslight me, as I mentioned. Or is he going to be more N'Keal Harry, or is he going to be Mike Evans? Again, me thinking I love the Dennis Rodman comparison more, but in a scale of N'Keal Harry, of this guy you can't separate, to Mike Evans, who is also seen as like a burner, one-trick pony, big guy, like maybe lacks like a little bit of a separation. Like where do you see him landing?
That is one of the best questions, because both are in his realm of outcomes. And I think people are avoiding the N'Keal Harry outcome. But it's in there, right? It's a possibility. I would say he's much more likely to end up on the Mike Evans outcome than he does the N'Keal Harry outcome. But there are some things we don't know, and I don't know how much he's studying the playbook. I don't know everything about his work habits. They seem to be okay. I don't hear any red flags. But the one why I think he might be better than more on the Mike Evans, he's versatile. First 2 years at USC, he played in the slot because they had a man named Michael Pittman and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And those 2 guys played on the outside. So I was very high in Devy community on Drake London. Now, the argument was he doesn't get a lot of separation, which is true, but he only plays in the slot. How's he going to do? And I said, everything on the Drake London scale is going to depend on his ability to move outside. Well, guess what? He had a goddamn grand slam. They moved him to the outside, and he was better than I could ever have imagined. So that versatility tells me that he's not N'Keal Harry, because I didn't see that. N'Keal Harry played straight X with Arizona State, and Arizona State has a simple offense. Their X receiver basically runs 3 routes. Now, I thought N'Keal Harry could win with physicality and maybe with some coaching. It just hasn't worked. I mean,
or with Tom Brady. I don't know.
With Tom Brady too, you thought. But that just tells all I need to know about N'Keal Harry. Tom Brady, who really does have confidence in his players, never threw the ball to him. Like that's all you have to know. Tom Brady wants you to play well, right? He gives you an opportunity to succeed, and N'Keal Harry couldn't do anything. I would say that Drake London is more likely to be Mike Evans. And I heard a lot of people for a long time say, I don't like Drake or Mike Evans because he doesn't get separation. No, all the guy does is 8 straight years of 1,000 yards. Hey, he's had the best career now out of that draft class. Mike Evans is the best receiver from Odell, Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks. Evans is the Hall of Famer out of that group. And I don't think 5 years ago anyone would have said that. Even 3 years ago, I don't think anyone would have said that.
Yeah, longevity matters in doing it many years in a row.
It
just
does.
Just like Melgo.
Yes. Yep, longevity. I mean, I love Mike Evans in one of my dynasty teams. I mean, you just roll him out. Guy plays every week. He produces, right?
Here's a string of digits for you.
Yes.
13, 22, 3, 17, 9, 16, 11, 9.
Those aren't targets, are they?
No. Those are Mike
Evans
Evans fantasy finishes as wide receiver in PPR from 2014.
There you go.
So
and 1,000 yards.
What?
1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns
every year. Yeah. I mean, he's never been lower than 22, and he was hurt that year.
And people don't harass you to trade for him. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It is. No one ever offers you for Mike Evans, dude. It's like he's the ultimate, like, just sit on the dynasty team, roll him out. It's great. So Drake London, I would say more likely to be Mike Evans than N'Keal Harry. But that's a great question because we all ignore the floor, right? The floor is N'Keal Harry with Drake London.
Do you give him a benefit of the doubt for being 20 years old to go towards like the high side comp, or does that not kind of play into your assessment of these guys?
No. Look with Drake London, early breakout. He's productive as a freshman, multi-sport athlete. He also played baseball, and he got better every year on campus. And he's leaving campus so early. Yes, that does factor in.
All right, Theo. Now you can ask your follow-up question on the Garrett Wilson deep dive. Now,
there you go.
Oh, you just want Garrett Wilson? Okay.
No. No, that was the whole gaslight thing. We were talking back and forth about Garrett Wilson versus Drake London earlier. So.
Yeah, we were talking a little wide receivers. We're excited about this wide receiver class. So you made us excited, John.
I'm going to go back running back, but you don't necessarily have to answer this question with a running back. Okay. Elijah Mitchell is a man that your partner admitted that I was on and he wasn't. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. But he's a guy that stepped up, and landing in the right position in the right offense made him like impactful hard in 2021 as a rookie. What was he, 6th round? Rookie pick, right?
Sherman was 3rd round, right? And then Elijah Mitchell was 6th round. So
let's look at these two guys. We did this with Matt, and I think it's an interesting question. Who's your Elijah Mitchell? Sorry, from this. From I see Theo's face, and I think Elijah Moore. It's just natural. I'll take that. Who's your Elijah Mitchell, and who's your Trey Sermon out of this year's class?
All right, so I got to give you 2 for Elijah Mitchell, but it's also so dependent on landing spot. Jerome Ford out of Cincinnati, and now Damian Pierce out of Florida. Now, I love the film work and the production last year for Jerome Ford. Now, if you're an early breakout guy, like Theo asked, you're not going to love Jerome Ford, but you got to put it into context. He played at Alabama, dudes, and he played behind a few players named Damian Harris and Najee Harris and now Brian Robinson. The guy just could not get on the field. I mean, if you love like the high school recruiting, like I do, when you see what Alabama, like what they recruit, I mean, Jerome Ford like was 4th on the depth chart. Like you're just like, how is that possible, right? So you got to give him a mulligan. You know, like there's just no way the young man is going to get the opportunity. You're not going to get 1,000 yards as like Travion Henderson of Ohio State last year, who just happened to arrive at the perfect time to become a breakout with the Buckeyes. Another story for another day. But I like Jerome Ford. 5'10", 209. Look, very good size. 209, 5'10" at the NFL is very nice. But here's what I love. 6.1 yards per carry. He's a home run hitter. But I'll say something that's interesting. If you watch enough film of Jerome Ford, he needs to go to a patient coach. And this is what I mean. He'll have a lot of 2-yard runs. And he might have like 5 carries for 15 yards. But you need the coach to give him the 6th carry because he might go for 25. Like he kind of just busts it with the speed. But you need the coach who's patient. Does that make sense? Like you got to be willing to eat the slow start for the big runs. And a lot of coaches aren't patient anymore. So, you know, that's a little bit of landing spot. Where is he going to land? Now, Pierce is the conundrum. But I have to listen to the NFL, and I watched him at the Senior Bowl. How he didn't get on the field of Florida is like a whole – like I've been talking to some guys who I know at the University of Florida, fans of the University of Florida. Like, what went wrong? All anyone can tell me is it's the coach, Dan Mullins, who now left Florida. You look at 5'9", 220, holy loaded. And he is all muscle. Now you plug him into a model, 12% market share. Ooh, that's not very good. 1,800 career yards. But there are some flashes of interest. 45 career receptions. He sheared the backfield in Florida, which is mind-blowing. But I have to listen to the NFL and look at the Senior Bowl. Everything is positive about Dameon Pierce. He's probably going to be third-round draft capital. And in today's NFL, third-round draft capital is super interesting. So those are the two that I'm looking at I have Ford right now, pre-combine, number 8 on my list, and I have Dameon Pierce, number 10 on my list. Athletic ability is going to matter with both of them. And I don't care necessarily about the 40-yard. I'm more into the 20-yard shuttle and the 3-cone drill. What is the short area burst and agility? That's what I'm worried about both. That's what I care about the running backs now. So, but those two are super, super interesting. And JD, what was the second half of your question now?
Who's the Trey Sermon? The guy who's getting hype coming into the draft and
a potential riser to avoid if a guy has like a great landing spot
yeah, that's a great question. I think one guy that I know the NFL is going to like more than I do, and I see it on Twitter. I'm very worried about James Cook of Georgia. I have him at number 13. I hear people say he's the best pass catcher in the class. I don't think so. I think he's in the top 2. I like Rashad White out of Arizona State. I think he's a better pass catcher. 5'11", 190. So he's under the 200 mark. How low? Is he 188 or is he 193? Let's see him at the combine there. My concern is I think his ceiling is James White. There's nothing wrong. I mean, we've all loved James White in PPR scoring, right? I mean, he's inconsistent, game script dependent, but he might not even be that good, right? So you're looking, I would say, the ceiling of James White, but the floor could be, who is that back at Tampa Bay who caught like 60 passes as a rookie? And everyone loved him as a PPR, and then he never did anything again.
Dare Ogunbowale?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think there's a massive and I'm not in on either Georgia running back this year. And I could be wrong. And I'm a Georgia guy. In general, I've ranked Georgia backs, but I don't think either of these two backs are very good. The other one's Zamir White.
Can you go into more on how bad that Florida program was? No, okay, you have to do that.
I mean, look if you have a running back who's going to go in the 3rd round, yes, I didn't get it right away. Yeah. Look there's something weird happened in Florida this year, man.
Yeah, good. Love it. Love down Florida. Love down Clemson. The sad part is Florida State's down too. So what do
it was your opportunity.
2 backs I know you're higher on board, and I've heard your takes on. Could you tell people what you think of Kyren Williams and Tyler Algiere?
Absolutely. I like Kyren Williams. The film work is outstanding. Dudes, he is so good at Notre Dame. My only concern, and this is I have him at number 4 right now. He's 5'9", 195. Please come up at 198 at the combine and just cross 5'8", 198. Do not show up 5'7", 185. But the ability to run between the tackles, but it's his pass catching. Theo, he's so good out of the backfield. He played wide receiver in high school. You could literally line him up, move him out to the X, and he could run some routes for you out there in a creative offense. You could do a lot of things with Kyren Williams. He's bigger and stronger than James White in my book. Now, James White is very underrated. He was a very, it's tough because he's such a PPR running back, but he was also strong, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I think Kyren Williams is a better full down back. But what I love about him and what James White was pretty good at too, picking up the blitz, Kyren Williams, man, Theo, he hurts people. Like you see him pick up. So that's what tells me he's probably not as small. I'm not as worried. Or he's just got the biggest cojones that I've ever seen for a guy who's tiny. Because I've seen him put his helmet into blitzers who are 240. I mean, he is not afraid of anything. I mean, we've all seen the running backs do the Olay. Like, they're like, hello, go ahead. You know, I read it wrong. And then, the quarterback gets hit. If you have a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, not that he's going to Green Bay, but if you did, you would, I think, as a coach, you would feel all right on third down putting Kyren Williams in the game to pick up the blitz. I love him between the tackles. He's a 3-down back. Do I think he can get 22 touches? Probably not. Probably like a Devin Singletary. Maybe with a better offense, it might take him. I actually think it's a decent analogy. Devin Singletary, the Bills finally kind of committed to him, right? And Devin Singletary really showed us the second half of this year what he can do. Now, I do not think that Kyren Williams will have the challenge that Singletary had. I think he'll score better. Remember, Singletary wasn't very good at the combine. Do you remember Singletary's numbers were very kind of, you're like, oh, man, he was so good at FAU. He was unbelievable. Then you saw his numbers at the combine. You're like, that's not really athletic. But he's a great football player, and the Bills finally committed to him. I think Kyren Williams is more explosive. I expect him to be a better athlete. So I think he's like Devin Singletary, James White. Does that?
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's great. And how about Tyler Algiere?
Look, there's a role in the NFL for any player who can hit someone in the mouth. Tyler Algiere is a day one between the tackles grinder. And that's not, I know we use it as a derogatory term, but it's not always derogatory. There are roles in the NFL. Look at Jordan Howard. How good was Jordan Howard for a couple years? You got him in second or third round of a dynasty draft. He just grinded out that 1,000 yards. And, what did he have? 10 or 11 touchdowns. As a second back, Jordan Howard was fine. Yes, he's not a PPR monster. Tyler Algiere played linebacker. He's 5'11", 220. BYU is not in the SEC or something like that. I get it. But BYU is a higher level program. I would say they're like Notre Dame. They're a Power 5 team. They're just independent. Does that make sense? All the other independents, I group them as a group of 5 program. BYU is a Power 5 team playing an independent schedule. When I see Tyler Algiere, I just see power. I see, relentlessness. Second level. He doesn't get caught from behind in the second level. Now, obviously, he's not playing Alabama secondary. I get it, right? That's not LSU athletes. It's safety. But if you can burst through the line, you can beat the linebackers to the secondary in the NFL. There's a role for you. And he's a sneaky pass catcher. He had 46 career receptions, 31% of scrimmage yards dominator. Remember, BYU lost Zack Wilson. They lost like 4 members of their offensive line. And Tyler Algiere came back, and he was a monster this year, my friend.
Do you know what I need to see out of Tyler?
Yeah.
A pronunciation guide. Do we have confirmed whether it's Tyler Algiere or Tyler Algier? Because
I've never heard Algier from the announcers.
Okay, good. Because I could really use like confirmation there. Because
I will say this: I'm no expert on names. Anyone knows I'm really, really bad. But sometimes a name sticks with me, and because I watched so much Zack Wilson 2 years ago, I watched a lot of BYU, and Algiere was on the field all the time. And then I watched him again this year a bunch. So from what I got from the announcers in my terrible pronunciation guide, I believe it's Algiere.
I did a search of his pronunciation, whatever, a couple weeks, and there's some guy that anyways, he must have done like a search engine optimization because it'll show something effective like how do you pronounce Algier, and it's just like champion. You pronounce it like the whatever is like champion or like stud or something like
Hey,
that.
we can use some of that optimization tips, so maybe you can reach out to him. I have no idea what we're doing with that.
Hey, buddy, apparently other people are asking his
He
pronunciation
is just
too.
anyone watching. You know anything about
Just
Sir
help us out.
Yes.
Help the goats out.
Help the goats.
If we're on the topic of awesome names, then we
Yeah.
might as well stick with awesome names. Wendell Robinson. We've had multiple guests talking up Wendell. We had Ryan McDowell last week. We had Davis Maddock talking about a potential copycat for Deebo Samuel. We have Joey Brown, a great player in the NFFC, who is a huge Wendell guy. He's a Kentucky guy as well.
Shout out to Joey, by the way. He's an awesome dude. Joey Brown.
Where are you on Wendell? Is he a guy who just needs manufactured touches, or is he a guy that can fit in on any team?
He doesn't need manufactured touches. He can succeed. He's better than Rondell Moore by far.
Whoa.
So, it's not even close. He's 5'11", 185.
Damn.
So I am fascinated how I'm hoping he's 5'10", over 180. That's my knock on wood. Because size is a little of a concern. He looks rail thin when you watch him, but he is listed at that. And I also recommend you have to watch tape of him at Nebraska and at Kentucky. What Nebraska did is malfeasance. How they could not make him a star. And I was a big Scott Frost fan coming from UCF. And then he recruited Robinson, who was Mr. Kentucky Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year in state of Kentucky, goes to Nebraska, poo-poo, average at best. Then he transferred to Kentucky. I was like, wow, that's ballsy. Like, a lot of times you'll get that type of athlete who goes down a level. Does that make sense? Like
his yard per reception.
11.5.
12. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at 12.8, but whatever. It's all crazy.
But look at it, what it was at Nebraska. It's bad. He got better, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah.
He got better at Nebraska, at Kentucky. They used him properly.
Well, the most he put up was 461. He put up over 1,300.
Yes. He was unbelievable.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, here's one of my favorite stats in this draft class. In the history of the SEC, and I'm SEC biased, only 6 players had 100 catches in a season. Wendell Robinson is the 6th one. We can all look at the names from the SEC. So when you're putting up 100 receptions
that's crazy
at Kentucky in the SEC, you're doing something right. When I watched the film, remember my biggest criticism other than size, Rondell Moore was always too small in my opinion. But someone had posted his ADOT at Purdue. You know, those like infographs where they just like at Purdue, his ADOT was 2 yards a reception. That's a joke. You see that game this year where he had like 11 targets and his ADOT was like 0.7 yards? Like, it's a comedy act. You can't succeed with an ADOT of 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work. There was nothing on Purdue film. I mean, once in a while he'd catch a pass, but who cares if he catches 1 out of 50 passes 20 yards on the field? What I love about Robinson, he can attack the defense vertically from the slot position. And when you give me that, that's why I think when you ask Theo, does he have to have manufactured touches? No, because I do believe, let's just say, let's exaggerate. He was the slot to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He could be your third progression on every route. And you know what? He's going to be open at the end of the progression tree because he can get open deep. And with this speed, safeties have to respect him challenging the center. Mike, and he's tougher than you think. If you watch him, this is the SEC. He takes some pops, my friends. If you are getting 100 catches in the SEC, you are going to get hit. Like, this is not for the meek. Like, Wendell Robinson got hit, and he bounced up. And there's there's some touchdowns where he's running like 25 yards down the field and the run then breaks off a nice post with a double move. He's a good player. I have him at number 8 in my rankings. I think he's a second-round pick in my book. Like, he's a clear second-round pick. You know what's ironic? If the darn Cardinals hadn't spent that pick on Rondell Moore, they should get Wendell Robinson this year.
Yeah, then they got to with them too.
This is another pronunciation guy. I think it's Juan Daley, I think. Robinson.
Oh, I don't even know what that means.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
I've never heard Juan Daley.
Vandale.
Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull, Daley? No?
Here's another good stat. He had a 45% team aerial dominator this year at Kentucky. That is in the SEC. I cannot find a player with a 45% team dominator from the SEC who's a total bust in the NFL, but I could be wrong.
That's Elijah Moore-esque. Elijah Moore, his last year at Ole Miss.
I thought a lot about it. It's a very good analogy. Elijah Moore was a little bigger. I thought he's a better prospect, but they're in the same bucket.
You just put Elijah Moore and Deebo Samuel in the same guy. Guys, I'll be back.
Now I'm gonna have a Honda Civic worth of.
Theo and I will be battling for him. Theo and I and Andrew will be in the same drafts, grabbing him like way too early. I say Andrew because Andrew likes any receiver.
Pick number 3, Wendell Robinson.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, let me be a pessimist. Let me throw a wet blanket. What if he's Lynn Bowden Jr.? So that there we go. I just calmed everybody down.
No, Andrew.
Just so I can draft him later.
Andrew, stop.
Well, I have to be the eternal pessimist.
So John, would you say that landing spot is pretty crucial with Robinson, or you think he'll fit in decently?
I would hate him to go to the Giants because they got Kadarius Toney, who's similar. He's better than Kadarius Toney. I would hate him to go to Miami because I think Miami needs a Drake London to match with Jalen Waddle. You need I'm a big believer. You organize a wide receiver core with different skills and different styles of play. I'm a huge believer in that. I don't want 3 Kadarius Toneys. I'm going nowheres with that team, right? So I would love to see Robinson somewheres with the alpha male who he can be the slot and always have the beneficial coverage.
Can we stick with wide receiver, JD?
Sure.
I have
whatever you want.
Matt Hicks gave us his must-draft wide receiver is Chris Olave. Where are you on Chris Olave? Are you equally bullish? Because he got us really excited for him.
And I want to expand that question just a little bit if I can.
Sure.
All right. So we have a lot of people are, saying that Olave, Bell, Pickens are kind of down in the back half of the first round, right? Which is the place where everybody says they don't want to be. It's like, oh, yeah, no, you don't want to be there. You just want to trade out. But then you go on Twitter and everybody's got nice things to say about all 3 of these guys. So, A, which is it? And B, do you have a favorite? If you're sitting at the 108 and Olave, Bell, and Pickens are sitting there, who are you taking?
So it's great. I'm doing a mock draft for footballdiehards.com. I'm not going to give the whole draft because, I get a little bit of money to publish it. So we'll wait until it's all published. But I'll tell you this, top of the second round was gold. It literally went Olave, Bell, Jahan Dotson. I love all 3 of those guys. They're falling in the T. Higgins range in the second round. Last year, Elijah Moore was there. Now he moved up it depends when you drafted. By the end, Elijah Moore was getting a lot more press than he was early. And you guys know I loved Elijah Moore last year. I was absolutely in love with him. Now, I think there's value in the second round at wide receiver. That's why I'm almost not taking a running back in round 1 unless I have the top 2. Because I can get or I want a running. So let me repeat that. I screwed up for a second. I want a running back because in the second round, there are so many good wide receivers. Now, let me ask Theo, then I'll go back to Dan. Theo, Matt and I differ on Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Big time. We did this last summer. Matt has always been Team Olave. I've always been Team Wilson. 1 year ago, I was the weirdo. Garrett Wilson, no, mostly everyone had Olave over Wilson. I'm like, nah, Wilson's better. And I was the weirdo. Now, Wilson is a universally higher ranked everywhere than Olave. Do I think Olave will be good? Yeah, but I have a second round grade. I would not take Olave as an NFL team in the first round, my friend. I have Olave at number 6. I like Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. Oh, a lot more than Olave. I like Jahan Dotson. Now, we got to see how he's listed at 184. Please be 184. Like, please just start taking your protein drinks. Start please like bulking up. Like, I mean, if he comes in at 184, 5'11", we're talking could be special. Olave 6, David Bell 7, Wendell Robinson number 8. So that's how I have them right now. Basically, I'm taking the value. I will say this, it's weird. I do look at the NFL likes Olave. People like him more than I do. I'm not as high on him. I bet you I have less than Olave than any dynasty owner, unless I get just such a great value on him.
Makes sense. What about Pickens?
I have him number 10. I like him, but I got to hear the injuries, and I'm going to tell this is my final. With Pickens, does he get second or first round draft capital? What is the NFL going to tell us about the injury? I mean, that's the only way until I know for 100%. If Pickens gets second round draft capital, then I'm all in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
He hasn't been productive in 2 years. Now, it's injury related. I get it. And the film, you watch his film freshman year, it's a thing of beauty. And I'll tell you this, Pickens, if you haven't seen him, he's mean. Like he plays with the chip on his shoulder. He should have gotten thrown out of some games, I think. Like, he is an angry player, which I like. I like football. I like angry players. But he could be special, but I'm not sure about the injury. Plus, Georgia's hard, right? People, they always push these Georgia wide receivers up the boards. And then what happens when they get to the NFL? Nothing.
You're agreed.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
So,
and John and Dan, people forget that Pickens rhymes with Higgins. So it's hard not to make the linkage there.
I will say this: I had Higgins a higher grade than Pickens pre-draft.
And Andrew, don't go into poetry, okay?
Not all poetry has to rhyme. Spoken word, Dan. You should know that. Come on,
Guys, we got to give a quick word to our friends over at the FFPC. All the goodness is happening right now. Whether you want to do best ball, you want to play for 25 Genos, 125 buy-in, $133,000 in prize money. That's the never too early best ball. They've got best ball slims starting at $5, going all the way to like $1 gajillion. You can play best balls at all levels, live, slow drafts, medium slow, 2 hour, 6 hour, whatever, man, whatever you like. Any kind of variety. Adopt a Dynasty Orphan today on the site. You go there, you go to Dynasty Depot, you got a couple options. And Dan, anything I'm missing FFPC wise right now?
Oh man, they got everything going on right now. You can register for auction drafts. You can register for their varsity drafts. I mean, the whole thing is wide open. You can get in on the main events already. I mean, they're not drafting yet, but you can certainly register for them. So, get in there and get your spots for sure.
For sure. And guys, like we said, we'll be doing a bunch of live drafts on this channel all off season. I know Andrew and I have scheduled some FFPC action starting next week on the 23rd. Theo, what do you got, man? What do you got, brother?
So last year we had Kyle Pitts mania, and we also had Pat Freiermuth. We got really excited about the tight end position. I'm starting to get a little excited about Trey McBride. I know Dan and Andrew and I, we talked a little McBride. How excited should we be about Trey McBride?
I think you should be very excited. There is a lot to like about Trey McBride. he popped in my tight end model. Now, I do put it into context. He's a group of 5 player coming out of the Mountain West. So Trey McBride was not necessarily playing against the top level linebackers and defensive backs. But his numbers, Theo, are ridiculous in my model. 12.5 yards per catch. And name a quarterback at Colorado State. I dare you. If I could go through the journey of Colorado State quarterbacks since he's been here. But he had a 67% catch rate despite, he didn't have Tua and Joe Burrow throwing him the ball. So make sure like 67% of Colorado State with their quarterback play is incredibly impressive. But this is the best number in this tight end class. 37% team aerial dominator. I mean,
incredible.
He just unbelievable, dude. For a tight end, he was I played college fantasy football. He turned out to me to be the best value when you take position scarcity in college fantasy football. I know you probably don't play. I love college fantasy football. Trey McBride was Travis Kelsey, and you were getting him in round 10, 12. I mean, the numbers are silly.
So where do you put him right now? If you're looking at your dynasty overall tight ends, where do you put McBride?
Oh, you mean overall?
Yeah, like where does he fit? Where does he fit in the dynasty puzzle right now?
I would feel comfortable. Man, I have him as second round grade, top tight end on my board. If I put him amongst all the tight ends, probably in the top 12 right now.
Like, let me ask you this:
Wow.
Hunter Henry or McBride?
I'd probably go McBride because I know Hunter Henry's ceiling. It's a limited ceiling, I think, with Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So if for tight end premium drafters, where is Trey McBride falling in are you considering taking him at like the 107 after your first tier in a tight end premium?
What's the earliest you're going to take him?
Okay, so there's no way I'm taking him in the top 6.
Okay.
I would love him between pick 11 and 17. That would be my ideal value. Now, depending on roster construction, super flex, quarterback, maybe you could reach around 9, but I think that's a reach because there is an outcome where he's not that successful. Because you have to look at the floor.
You mentioned your bucket with the wide receivers where you could compare him to a couple guys. Is there a few previous prospects? Like, would you have Trey McBride as a prospect ahead of Pat Freiermuth as a prospect?
No, I like Freiermuth better. But I was a Freiermuth guy coming out of Penn State. But I was also Mike Gesicki guy, so that's another story. But I do like the physical nature, the Penn State, the blocking ability. And Theo, you have to consider Penn State's playing Big Ten. I felt more comfortable with Freiermuth going up a level of competition. McBride, you have to factor in the Mountain West competition. Even though he was good at the Senior Bowl, I was very happy. But I have to think that it's better to play Big Ten football against Ohio State and Michigan than the Mountain West against San Jose and San Diego State.
Well, Travis Kelsey, it certainly worked out for him playing at his level of
But I mean, look, I love Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, he's been unbelievable. So yes, but he might be one of the greatest tight ends ever. I mean, it's if not
100%.
It's hard with him or Gronk. Gronk is goddamn too good too. It's so hard with those two.
Who's your tight end too, John?
I like Jalen Weidenmeyer.
Yeah.
And do not be surprised if the NFL takes Weidenmeyer over McBride. Do not be surprised. 6'5", 255. I think Weidenmeyer, when you put him on the combine, I think he's going to score off the charts, dude. I think he's going to score like Mike Gesicki off the charts. He is an extraordinary athlete. He played in a terrible offense with no quarterback. Texas A&M. How can you waste this kid? I mean, he's nasty. He's physical. He's fast. He's big. He's a good route runner. He's got everything. 12.4 yards a catch. They only threw 118 balls to this. Come on, man. Stop it. He should have had 175 catches. 66% catch rate. Name some quarterbacks at Texas A&M. 22% aerial dominator share. That's really solid for a tight end. And there's an SEC bias. If your life is on the line and your daughter is going to go to a private college and you're going to bank on an SEC West kid or you're going to bank on a kid from Colorado State, I think most general managers are going to take the kid from the SEC. So don't be surprised if Weidemeyer goes first off the board.
To support your Weidemeyer point and to steal somebody else's joke, I was listening to actually the same week that they beat Alabama. I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying Zach Calzada, who was the Texas A&M quarterback, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Like the guy was the most inaccurate quarterback they had ever seen. And of course, he had the game of his life against Bama. But again, just to further your point in terms of like who Texas A&M had under center there.
Basically, Jimbo Fisher ran an offense this year that was dated 1978.
Oh, don't I know,
that
John?
That offense was so bad for the Aggies.
Yeah.
Don't I know? It was really bad. I mean, Jimbo didn't have Jameis Winston, who knows? But man, his offense was it was bad. So I think it's going to be really close. Now, I like McBride better. My model likes him. I love the film tape work. But he's my number 2 Weidemeyer.
John, I've done the absolute worst job in teasing the 5 must-draft rookies on your list. Like, absolute worst possible, stringing people along. But people have stuck around for the 60, 70-plus minutes.
We're holding it till the end. That's it.
Who are the 5 must drafts? And I know, in the show sheet, we kind of put best ball and or dynasty because obviously us or, the people watching, we're playing all kinds of formats, right? So maybe you can touch a bit on both formats. Like who do you think will pop early this year, top 5 wise, and include, of course, rookie draft wise, who are the top guys you're going after? Who are the must drafts in your opinion?
Sure, I'll go top 5, and we still can talk quarterbacks as we haven't really hit on that yet. But Breece Hall, Spiller, and then it's Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, and Jameis Williams. Those are the top 5. So I think they should go. Now, some people might not like Williams as much as London. Let's see what the draft capital and the medicals say. But those are my top 5 right now. I don't have a quarterback in there. And I don't remember the last time in a Superflex I didn't have a quarterback in the top 5. But yeah, they're not. I would not rank a quarterback there right now.
Is there someone you haven't mentioned that if you're doing like a best ball or like a redraft type of thing and you're maybe in the double digit rounds that you're looking to add on a roster with some upside?
Oh, it's got to be Rachaad White of Arizona State. I alluded to it.
Good answer, John. Good answer.
Look at, man, 51 career receptions in 2 years. JUCO transfer. Came in at the Senior Bowl, 6'0", 210. He's got the body type. He is deadly in the open field. I do think he's a little scheme dependent. You need to get him out on the wings a lot, and you need him one-on-one with linebackers. But I like him a ton. 6.3 yards a carry and 30% scrimmage yards dominator for the Sun Devils. Those are pretty impressive numbers for a running back with that type of size. Now, I'm going to give you a wide receiver. And everyone, I'm not going to give you the obvious ones. I think we all know Sky Moore and Christian Watson now. Guys, wake up to Dontario Drummond, Mississippi. Everyone's sleeping on him. 6'0", 217. JUCO transfer. 2 years, 114 catches at Mississippi. Look at this number. This is the one that shocked me. 76% catch rate. 76% catch rate. 29% team aerial dominator. He's an SEC kid. I'm not going to be surprised if he goes in the 3rd round of the NFL. The NFL is going to like Dontario Drummond more than models and more than people. Watch the tape. He's a very, very good player.
His age is going to scare people. No, John, like in the fantasy land, you know how like discrimination against age. He's 24 and a half going into.
Is he that old? I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing in front of me here.
I did not know he was that old. So I have him at number 15 on my rankings.
John, I'm just here to teach you about these college players. That's
I mean, I do know he's a JUCO transfer, so that I mean, obviously he spent time at the JUCO, and he's been with Mississippi the last 2 years. But I bet you in NFL, like I feel like he's a Steeler. Like they would like him and get him in round like 3.
I feel like there's a guy named what's that guy's name again? Cooper, something with up or something. I forget his name, man. I don't know. I feel like he came in older. No, am I getting that wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, Cooper Kupp was a 4-year player at Eastern Michigan. Kupp was probably
Wheeler. I love it.
And last year,
Kupp was 22 or 23 when he was drafted. That's my guess.
Eskridge was like 25 and drafted on day 2. So,
yep.
I mean, I think the Ontario Drummond right now in dynasty drafts is free. He might not even get. But I have him at number 15 on my rankings, and I kind of came across him watching Matt Corral because we can talk about Matt Corral in a second. But they had a lot of injuries this year, and Drummond ended up being the guy, like really out of nowhere. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't like the SEC West so much, but you know what? They put players in the NFL, man, on a regular basis. And this young man has played LSU, Alabama, Texas A&M. I mean, he's playing top-level competition week after week after week. Just a sneaky guy that I don't hear anyone talking about.
Yeah,
how would you rank those quarterbacks, John?
Sure, I really like to get into this because looking at ADP right now, I actually think there's value at the quarterback in Superflex. They're dropping so far. Like last year, what did we have? 3 of the top 4 players were quarterbacks in Superflex, right? We now are getting pockets of value at the quarterback position. I have Sam Howell number 1 on my board. I'll be on an island all by myself. I'm okay with it. No one's going to deter me off of it. 6'0", 221, much more athletic than anyone gives him credit for, over 800 yards rushing. This is crazy. His rushing equity share, 30%. 30%. He's in the Kyler Murray range. Like, the only people with better than 30 are Lamar Jackson, Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. 30% rushing share for a quarterback is freaking outrageous. And people don't tell you how athletic Sam Howell is. He's incredibly athletic. Here's what I love about him. In my benchmarks, I have 6 categories. Sam Howell has surpassed 5 of my 6 benchmarks. No one who surpassed 5 out of 6 fails in the NFL. 5 out of 6 is outrageous. Everything. Passing efficiency, yards per attempt. You know what I love about him even more? He has the highest yards per attempt in this class, 9.2. He's tied with a kid named Caleb Ellaby. You may or may not know him. He's out of Western Michigan. He's a borderline prospect. I like him. I have him at number 8 on my rankings, but he might be a 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick. He could even be undrafted. But I like Ellaby. He's better than Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Carson Strong. Sam Howell throws the ball deep. Watch the film. My favorite stat, touchdown-interception ratio. 92 career touchdowns, only 23 interceptions. 23 interceptions.
So Sam Howell is Josh Allen? Is that what you're saying?
Look, he's not as athletic and big.
No, Andrew's saying no.
No. But he's good. He's good. I think.
So you don't like comparisons. What's your like if you're throwing a name out there just to let an idiot like me just something to compare him to?
I have a mean one after John goes. I'll have a mean one for you, JD. I'm gonna let John go first though.
JD, Russell Wilson and Drew Brees. That's what he is.
All right.
Homeless man's Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
Are you looking at his looks? Because if I look at Player Profiler, he literally looks like
wow.
somehow related to Baker Mayfield. I don't know.
I also like Sam Howell immediately started as a freshman, a true freshman. He walked onto that North Carolina State campus. I think he was 18. He's played 37 games in 3 years at the age of 18, 19, and 20. He might be 19, 20, 21, but he's young. He's way younger than Kenny Pickett. Way younger than Kenny Pickett.
And he put over 3,000 in each of those seasons.
What?
He put over 3,000 yards in each of those seasons passing.
Yeah, he's JD, man. I love the value right now. If he goes to Tampa Bay, he beats out Kyle Trask from day one. Like, I have no doubt about that whatsoever. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, they have their quarterback. I mean, you have Freiermuth, Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Sam Howell. Oh, that'd be a nice little landing spot. Now, number 2, I have Kenny Pickett, but the floor is much greater with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, man, he's going to be 24 when the year kicks off. Also, you got to study all 3 years of his film. He was not on any Devy list last summer. He was at Zack Wilson, Joe Burrow ascendancy. Like, no one had Joe Burrow in the summer of 2019 was going to win the Heisman. No one. And even in college fantasy football, he was like the 48th quarterback in ADP. So anyone who tells you they were on Joe Burrow, they're just lying. It's not true. Now, I was on him after he put up the greatest season in college football history, but that's a different story. Zack Wilson, basically he was the second pick. And you can, if you like him or not, that's a different story. The reality is he was the second pick in the NFL draft. Kenny Pickett, he only hits 2 of my 6 benchmarks because you got to watch film for 3 years. He was not good in 2019 and 2020. JD, you got the numbers? Did he even throw over 15 touchdowns in either of those 2 seasons?
No, 13 in both of them.
Yeah, he was bad.
And then he dropped 42 bombs, son.
And you know what, though? The 4th best Devy receiver in the nation is Jordan Addison. And guess where he plays? Pittsburgh. And every time I see Kenny Pickett throwing 40-yard touchdown pass, guess who's catching it? Jordan Addison. So I wonder, I'm a little bit worried if 3 years from now we go, oh, was Jordan Addison make Kenny Pickett? Or did Kenny Pickett make Jordan Addison? I think Jordan Addison's the alpha male in Pittsburgh. Look at
interesting. Andrew agrees.
The wide receiver coach at Pitt is a super coveted wide receiver coach, like young up-and-comer guy. Jordan Addison's sick, and then it's Brennan Marion, and he's at Texas now. I had to look that up, but Brennan Marion's like, up-and-comer super riser in terms of the college coaching ranks.
So is Pickett like a possible
It's a trap.
I have a cross race comparison for Kenny Pickett if anybody wants that.
I love it. Drop it.
Andrew's just
Teddy 2 gloves.
Oh,
it's only based on the fact that Kenny Pickett wears two gloves too. But Teddy loves his 2 gloves, and so does Kenny Pickett. And nobody loves cross race comparisons more than me.
Teddy Bridgewater is in the outcomes for Kenny Pickett. He's definitely in the range of outcomes. Then I have Matt Corral. I like Malik Willis, because Theo mentioned it. The upside with the legs. But everyone dinged Zack Wilson for his schedule last year. Well, let's be fair. If you think Zack Wilson's schedule is bad, look at the Liberty schedule. Make Zack Wilson's schedule looks like an all-stars, except for the one game against Mississippi, and Malik Willis got destroyed. That game when he just got mauled against Mississippi. Liberty's schedule is basically JV football. So if you're going, let's be fair. If you hated Zack Wilson for the BYU schedule, which is fair, but I had a lot of people who hated Zack Wilson for that schedule, then why do you like Malik Willis and ignore his schedule? It's a joke. Look at Liberty played the last 2 years. Some of the teams you don't even know. If anyone looks up Liberty's schedule, I bet you the last 2 years there's 3 teams you've never heard of on that schedule. It's bad.
And you think he'd have trouble starting year one?
He needs a redshirt season.
He needs a redshirt. Yeah.
Oh, I said that about Trey Lance, and essentially Trey Lance, he played 2 games, right? One game he just ran. Like, he barely threw the ball. At least in the second game, he showed some pop in the second half. But yes, Malik Willis will be better served sitting on the bench like Patrick Mahomes and Trey Lance. The advantage of Kenny Pickett, I do think he can absorb an NFL playbook from day one. Now, how good he's going to be, that's a different question. But I think he can play from day one. Matt Corral's number 4. Matt Corral also has 5 of my 6 benchmarks. Matt Corral's a very interesting prospect. He has some weaknesses, but he's pretty good, much better than people give him credit for. And he also has 1,300 yards rushing, Matt Corral, in his career in the SEC. My problem with Corral is he runs so hard. He gets himself hurt. I think that's a problem. We need him to slide. Young man, slide. Please slide. Once you embrace the slide, we'll all be happier with you. And then it's Desmond Ridder and Carson Strong. But I'm not a big Carson Strong guy. I don't overrate arm strength. I'm an old man. I've seen people throw the ball through, pane glass windows from 40 yards away. Who cares? It's a factor. As long as you have NFL arm strength, I don't really care if you're the top of the charts. I heard people didn't like Deshaun Watson because his velocity wasn't fast at the combine. Well, please, how good is Deshaun Watson? Well, forget about whatever's happened. You know what I mean. Deshaun Watson's been a great NFL quarterback. So I think Carson Strong's arm strength is way overrated.
I got one for you, John. You're talking about how you're at a point now where you're comfortable with this class. Who's someone who's kind of climbed up your own personal rankings, that maybe you weren't such a big fan in the beginning, and now he's someone that you look for in these drafts?
One, I'll say this. Tyler Batty, the running back out of Missouri, he leads this draft class in 2 of my categories, which I was shocked. Scrimmage yards. He has the most scrimmage yards this year with 1,942. He has more than Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. I was shocked by that number. And, 3 categories. Scrimmage yards dominator. Tyler Batty was 36% of the scrimmage yards. And he had 126 receptions in his career at Missouri. Now he's 5'7", 199.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have him at 12. But Tyler Batty rose up more than anyone else. I can't simply ignore the player who leads in 3 of my 5 career statistics in this draft class. But 5'7", 199 is a challenge.
John gave us Khalil Herbert last year on the GOAT District.
Yeah, I love
for
Khalil
this
Herbert.
exact show. And Khalil won people some money, so I'm definitely listening for that kind of.
Oh, how good was Khalil Herbert in DFS for that 3-week window, man?
He was a week winner for people on waivers. He won you week, so he was absolutely worth it.
And those are the dynasty players you love, right? You got him late. You didn't even know if you'd start him, but then he ends up for 4 weeks helping your team. I love that type of player.
Yep,
love it,
and that's what you get at running back for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I do. So one of the hard parts, I need athletic skills. Pierre Strong, South Dakota State. We just don't know his athletic ability. 5'11", 205. But that's not even a group of 5. That's an FCS program. And it's not even North Dakota State, which we know now has a very good FCS program. Now, who's the Jacksonville? Why can't I remember Brian Robinson? I have to open my eyes to the FCS. We've seen too many FCS level running backs, but I need to see Pierre Strong's athletic ability. How athletic is he? Because I think that'll make a difference at the NFL level.
Any other cues, guys, with the rookies for John tonight? He's given us a cool 90 minutes just load. I hope everybody had their pen and papers out because I know I got a couple notes from this one, a couple of writer downers.
I had my
spreadsheet out. I was taking notes all over the place.
This is I listen to John whenever I can, and anytime you're on a pod, John, I try to listen to you.
Thank you.
And I'm definitely going to listen to this one again tomorrow because this is just awesome. But I have like 10 more names. But JD, we'll be here for 2 more hours. I have so many other names.
Pick your top one. And it's funny because you talk about re-listening, and Matt Hicks is the last one that I made sure I listened back to because a lot of goodness. So Theo, just pick one of those names. Last one. Close it up.
So one player you didn't mention, a wide receiver, Tolbert from South Alabama.
Oh. So I like Tolbert. He's my number 14. And so I think he's very landing spot dependent. 6'1", 195, right? 48% team aerial dominator. 17.6 yards per catch. But it was South Alabama. Nice, 178 career receptions. I love the film. Very sleek, very natural. But he beats a lot of guys in the Sun Belt, defensive backs, with just his size, his arm length, and determination. That's not going to happen as much as the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to get away with that as much. Now, he could grow into it with some good coaching. And is he reflective enough where he wants to learn to be better? Right? That's one of those things that I don't have access because I'm not talking to him. So I have him at 14, Dontario Drummond at 15. I have a second round grade on Tolbert, third round grade on Drummond. They're the tier break of second round. But I like him, but
yeah, Tolbert's college dominator is no joke.
Oh, he's the best in the class, but it's South Alabama.
Yeah,
I mean that. And look, I've watched him for 2 years because he was on a lot of Devy roster lists. Jaylen Tolbert. I do want to see draft capital, Theo. Please go on day 2. Just don't go on day 3. Right. That'll be the final.
Then he's Jaylen Darden.
Oh, yeah, Jaylen Darden. I like the film, but just too small. He's a punt returner. He's a specialist,
John, you're a beast, brother. Your enthusiasm and passion is definitely contagious, and that's one of the reasons I know I love getting you on. I get excited. I told you asked me how I was tonight coming on, and just having you on just got me excited, man. I'm sure the audience feels the same. I know my boys Theo, Andrew, and Dan feel the same. Remind the people all the goodness, guys. This time of year, John is a no-brainer. If you're not following John, guaranteed you're number 12 in your league. I guarantee you are number 12 in your league coming out of the rookie draft. There's no doubt. Make sure you follow the man. Remind them where to find all the goodness, John.
First, thank you, gentlemen. I had a total blast tonight. I love talking draft prospects. I love this time of the year. Thank you for having me on. And yes, please follow me. My Twitter handle's right there, Gridiron Skull 91. I couldn't afford the A and the R when I signed up. What is it, 7-8 years ago now? No, I guess 9 years ago. So follow me on Twitter, and all my written stuff is on footballdiehards.com. And our video profile series is on NFL Draft Bible or the Rookie Big Board channel on YouTube.
Yeah, guys, check it out. It's awesome. You want to get to know these rookies. There's nothing like John's goodness.
Yeah, definitely worth checking that out.
Dan, I don't know if you heard 100,000 downloads, dropping the goodness. The hits keep coming. Tomorrow, Theo's got another banger lined up. I mean, I don't know what else to say, Dan. It's just we're rolling, brother. We're rolling.
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, especially since you're dragging my dead weight along. So, I mean, you could be at 200,000 without me.
Dan, your flow just keeps us cruising. Don't worry about it, brother. And now you're retired, so we're cruising even more. We got our feet up. You know, it's a lot more relaxed. It's good, man.
Yep.
Dan's a full-time best ball shark now. That's his.
Yeah.
I
love it.
I promise you 11 days of crystal blue waters and gorgeous sunsets for the next.
You bastard. You bastard. That's a sweet.
Coming up soon.
Well, enjoy. I'm totally jealous. It's cold in the Northeast.
It's cold here in Minnesota too.
It's cold.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you're in Minnesota. Yeah, it's cold up in Minnesota.
I just realized I gotta apologize. I just realized I never turned my heater off. I usually turn it off because it's buzzing in the background. So I apologize for all of you hearing that buzz in the background. That's what it is. Andrew, we love having you on, brother. You gotta get on here more often, man. You drop a pretty sweet question here and there. You're rocking your gear.
My bullshit and so forth. No, a couple things. I'll be quick though. One, for those of you who love college football betting, really fun quarterback coming out. Probably won't do much, but Bailey Zappi is an absolute delight to bet on. Western Kentucky guy and overs. Yeah, you got to live the Zappi life. Couple things. One, there's a Kentucky fantasy football draft on Sunday, 8:00. League is yet to fill, but they're doing redraft leagues here around the Super Bowl. So tweeted that out. More than welcome to join me there. And then JD, as you mentioned, we got a ballin' episode next Wednesday, 9:30 in the Never Too Early best ball tournament. The one thing, JD, we got it's a little bit of a dick measuring contest. Got to say, sorry for the kids, penis measuring contest. I'll go back to PG-13.
Like that was better.
JD, that's potentially against the
anatomically correct.
See, we have a 5.5-year-old in my house. It's called the front bum and the back bum, Andrew.
Oh my goodness! All right, hey, that was joke number 2. That was prepared joke number 2. Hey, listen, JD, that's against the ship chasing guys. If they go live that night in the draft, it's our stream versus theirs. But luckily, we got a stronger stream, baby. We've been holding it in longer, and we're ready to go.
Yeah,
it might be pointless for you and JD to draft though, because Dan and I might have just won it with the draft we're putting together right now that we're splitting. Just a warning, guys. We're putting together. It's a gem. What we put together is just a gem.
Theo, after they're drafted, they just seem so beautiful. They're just perfect. You look at them and there's no faults. The curves are perfect. The lines are perfect. The eyebrows are stuck in the right place. But then after a few days, they just look like all the other ones, man. You still have a 1 it's a 1 in 12, man. A 1 in 12 chance with that bad boy.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, man, this was a blast. Like I said, guys, check out John anywhere you can right now, and check out my boys. Like I mentioned often, I'm lucky to have these 3 ballers on tonight and on every other show and just on the regular. So guys, take advantage. You've got the overhyped sleeper like John. He's missing a letter. He ran out of Dapper for the NFT people out there. So he dropped the E to add the R on the end. The OG Fantasy at the OG Fantasy, just can't even express in the words the goodness this man's bringing to the district, and it keeps rolling tomorrow with Dan Brown. So make sure you guys tune in. Shelly, Andrew, always a blast, dude. The humor, the goodness, the Seminole gear, all of it is awesome, and I can't wait to draft with you next week, especially against the ship chasing guys, because it's fun. We got to flex a bit.
Hey, if they don't draft against us, then they're obviously actively avoiding us because we're the only ones in the league so far. So come and fill the league, and we'll see what happens.
Either that, or we get a little side action going with them.
I'm sure you threw out the bait, didn't you, Andrew?
We wanted to get through these shows, but don't worry, we're going to promote it. We're going to see who we're able to debate into the league.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
Definitely.
So guys, tune into the channel. Make sure you stick with us this whole season. We're going to keep loading more and more goodness as we go. We started a little light with some Matt Kelly and some, Ryan McDowell. We're just going to amp it up, guys. We bring in the John Laub. We're slowly amping it up this offseason. Make sure you stick with us. Like I said, if you're not tuning in, you're number 12 right now in your league. I guarantee it. We got 100K downloads. We're pumped. We appreciate all your support, guys. Make sure you tune in. Be safe. Be happy. And we'll check you all tomorrow.
Go distance. district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.